All right, are we ready? It's 1 o'clock. All righty. Call to order the BET regularly scheduled April meeting for April the 11th. Notice the meeting was properly posted on April the 7th. Item number 1, we've got approval of the minutes for March the 7th, our regular March meeting, as well as special meetings in April on April 4th, 5th, and 6th.
So moved. Second.
We've got a motion to approve those minutes and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 2, discussion of possible action regarding an update on employee benefits. John, how are you?
I got better.
Wonderful.
See, our sheet hasn't gotten.
You're never that way. Yeah, well,
Hey,
just,
you don't control what
no, I understand.
services that we
And
use.
that's what it really is. It's just,
There are numbers.
yeah. So where we're at now, medical's trended down from last month a little bit. About 1.4%. Prescriptions are running a little higher. Still we're about the same place, net about 3.9 million over where we were last fiscal year. Really prescriptions driving that. So there hadn't been much change. And I'll address some other things in my request for additional funding. I'll address some other things that are going on. But the medical weekly average, we've been averaging $373,000 every week for medical claims. The most recent one received was for $274,000, so it's less than the average, which is good. We'll get another one this Thursday, so those look like they're trending down. That's the only good news I have, really.
Real quick, explain kind of what happened from us being here.
Sure. So, and I was going to address that one time. I guess I can address that here too.
Oh.
So there's some items encumbered against employee benefits that I wasn't aware of. You know, Kelly Thomas processed a few things. So that budget request was supposed to cover everything we were holding, but it left us $317,000 short of getting everything we had prior to April out the door. So, because we had $317,000 less to work with because she had some encumbrances against employee benefits. So, we're still holding claims from March 16th.
The March 16th medical.
Yeah, March 30th medical, and then March Delta dental claims. So,
Okay, so those are 426,833.72, the 387,685.88, and 182,982.75.
correct. So we have a total pending of $986,000. We have a fund balance of $169. So 317 will be needed extra to pay everything we're holding. Besides,
Sounds like we need more than that.
Yeah, if it's 986 pending and 169 balance,
We're gonna
That's-
need more than.
well, I'm including the 500 transfer. I'm sorry. So the 500 transfer we already got.
Okay.
Yeah, include that. So it leaves us short 317,000.
Can I say something? So with the 500,000, we're gonna have some checks on Monday. So we are holding after that. We're holding $660,000 and $660,951.40.
What's
That's
that?
2 medical claims.
Okay.
So because we will be paid up, including the 500,000 transfer with the April 3rd medical claims, but there's one from the 3rd and one from the 17th that we're holding.
Micah, let's do this.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get the motion to receive the update. Then we'll move to that
Okay.
next item because I think what you're going to have is an actual dollar amount at the end of the discussion. And that way, if we're comfortable with that dollar amount, we can move with a motion on that particular item. Sound good?
Mhm.
All right. Do we have a motion to receive the update on the
So moved.
employee
Second.
benefits? Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's go ahead and move to item 4, discussion possible action regarding the transfer in an amount not to exceed $1.5 million from general fund reserve to employee benefits. Mikey, go ahead and finish with your.
Okay.
She might have
Sorry.
updated numbers versus mine, so I got these last week.
Yeah, so the two, and I don't have the breakdown, the two claims after Monday's meeting, so on Monday we have claims being processed. We have one left from the 3rd of April and one from the 17th, in a total of
Is this
660
17?
April, which is Monday.
Okay.
So
you're
usually
using
we
meeting
should be,
dates.
Okay, you're using meeting dates.
And John
not
now
the-
his stuff.
Because
is
that's how
registered date.
You're registered.
we really, well, but we use the meeting dates to record these, so.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
but that's a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure I
so
request the
after
correct amount
Monday,
too.
After Monday, we're holding two claims, one from the 3rd and one from the 17th, in a total of $660,951.40.
So I wonder if the Delta was paid then?
Yes,
She was
Delta
able-
was
So
paid.
that's what I didn't know Kelly processed that.
Yeah.
Was able, so we're holding two claim registers one that was issued on 3/16 and one that was issued on 3/30. So then we need to deduct the 171 out of the 3/17.
well, but hang on there.
Sure.
So April 3rd and April 17th.
Yeah.
Anything before April 3rd,
That's
come this BOCC meeting on Monday. Once that meeting, if all those claims are approved and there's money in the account to approve all of those claims, right? We will have April 3rd and April 17th remaining,
Yes.
which is that 669.51.40.
Correct.
After that BOCC meeting on Monday where we approve all of those claims, how much money will be left in that account to cover this 660?
I think the balance is, and I can pull it up, it's about 70,000, 80,000. Yeah, so there's not enough money to.
So there's not enough. So let's just 70, 80,000, we can just assume that's just gonna be a buffer. So what we need right now to cover April 3rd, to cover everything that's already been processed through,
Correct.
and the April 3rd and April 17th that have not been processed, we would need to transfer $660,000, $661,000 basically into employee benefits to cover through April 17th.
Yes.
Have we gotten the medical for April 15th?
We
Do you know
haven't,
that amount?
we received it last Thursday and I wrote that down.
Do you want me to go run it real quick and get it? Yes or no?
Well, I
Yes,
mean, that's
that'd
due
be
too,
helpful,
so,
thank you.
yeah,
So
we're at a
yours did
point.
too. Yeah.
Thank you, Micah.
So John, did I hear you say you think Delta Dental got paid?
Yeah, and I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, so
didn't tell me.
316's outstanding, 330's outstanding.
So I still think, so here's what they said me last week. They said these are outstanding.
I've got those.
That's what they told me last week, 169 starting balance. That those equal that minus that is that. And we were gonna transfer 500, so the difference between that and that was that.
Okay, that takes care of it there. But down here, we've got the 3rd and the 17th, whichever date you want to use, that total the 669.
Okay.
And then we'll have whatever this register is, right?
Yeah,
So the 317 is going to help take care of up here.
correct. And nothing down here, I don't think.
Okay, so that's what we need to figure
Yeah.
out then.
Let me look at something real quick.
So after Monday, we're holding, from the 3rd, 387,685.88. And from the 17th, 273,265.52.
And those total the $669, $51.40.
660,951.40.
When was this one paid? The 426.
This week. or it will be paid on Monday.
Okay.
So the 660 will cover,
Everything through April on the big claims.
Well, April 3rd, whatever date you, so 2 medical registers, 2 weeks
Yeah.
worth.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the 6th and the 13th, or if you want to say the 3rd and the 17th.
But so how these work, so, and your office does that, so for the next one that comes in from April will be registered for the BOCC in May. So that can be paid with
in May.
money in May.
And then that one was last week, wasn't it? That's one we received last week, the
Yeah,
273.
but so we go by meeting dates.
So Micah, if we had $660,000 in the account right now, we'd be able to pay
Through April.
everything through April 17th.
Yeah.
Any check register or whatever that we have come in, now moving forward, would be something that would be booked into May.
Yeah.
What money will we use to pay for that? You'll have money transferred in, appropriations at budget board.
Mhm.
Will that be enough? Because I know that you were trying to get through April and into May, and then with some reimbursements and some different
That's
things.
a good question. So we should have two more, or actually, we're pushing forward. So there's medical claims will come in on the 13th, and then prescription claims will come in on the 15th. Those together would be 5, 6, 7, 8, about 920,000 estimated.
So on the 1st of May, we're appropriating 1.5 million, and that covers the first BOCC meeting, it's for sure, and
Okay.
then
So
hopefully the
if that,
second.
that 1.5 that's appropriated
Yeah.
then would cover this estimated 920 and leave $600,000
Towards the second.
towards the second
And
register.
So the only thing that we're gonna appropriate in April on the budget board is the the ARPA reimbursement of like 111,000. Because the rest we have already appropriated.
Okay.
So we're like,
so we'll have that ARPA money used next month, or will it be included in those figures?
no, so that will be appropriated on next week, but it will be used for claims to pay on the first meeting in May.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes so we'll
What
have-
other money will we have to be able to pay this estimated 920,000? That's my
Yeah.
question. What money?
Oh, that's it, pretty much.
That 100
And
and whatever?
yeah, so 111,000 in April, and then we have the 1.5 that we appropriate May 1st.
and then
But there's no, we kind of
Where are
already,
you getting the $900 figure?
You guys just mentioned a medical and a prescription claim estimated that'll come in later in April. I think you said April 13th for medical and April 15th for prescription.
yeah.
but
And
they,
those two numbers,
We've already
I
got the
understand.
13th.
yeah,
I'm just looking at if we did 660 now to
yeah.
get through, are we going to have to be back at this, looking at it
We
in
might.
May?
I mean,
Yeah.
we might, because then the employer the retiree and employee premiums go in usually towards the end of the month. Those are allocated.
No.
Those are separate from the 1.5 million. When are those allocated?
Well, so we have, this year, we have been appropriating every budget board up through the day before. So anything current month, we're appropriating. Usually we don't do that. We use so say in April, we appropriate only March, but we have been appropriating everything up till the budget board every time.
And when will those funds be available? Those if you're going to do it up to that date.
Would those be available May 1 when the 1.5 million is available?
Well, so May 1 is the rest of April. We already we'll appropriate everything up to the budget board. So there's only a few, which is usually like 40,000, the remainder.
Okay,
That's not much.
okay.
And then it starts back the new month. You get the 1.5 and a budget board, we can appropriate whatever the difference is between the 1.5 and what we collect those first 2 weeks of the month, which is usually like in excess of 400,000.
So you two are seeing the numbers more regularly than we are. If we had a recommendation to transfer this $661,000 to cover the April 3rd and April 17th claims that we're talking about. If we did that, then the rest of April, estimated at 920, we would have money beginning of May to pay for those. And of course, we'll have some more in May that, come up. But if we, in May, on the second BOCC meeting, if we paid 2 weeks with the 600,000 that would be left, the difference between the 920 and the 1.5 million, we'd have 600,000 to pay that and keep moving forward for the next few months in the fiscal year. And maybe in June, those last 2 weeks, we push it into the next fiscal year like we've done in the past.
And we get a rebate.
Is everybody tracking?
Yeah.
So if we do that,
Kind of push them all forward, and then in June too, we'll get some extra money from the rebate, which will help to catch up some of that back stuff. But we don't know how many, because a medical claim register comes in every week, so I think there's 3 more weeks of this month for medical claim registers to come in. Plus 1 prescription.
So,
I mean, the nice thing is we're really close to the end of the fiscal year for a reset. But I want to make sure that we're able to, we can't hold a month's worth of claims. I mean, we can't do that. A couple weeks we can, but I mean, it would be nice if we were able to just utilize the 660 number and not the 1.5 million, because we're going to have other things that are absolute requirements, like juvenile, their salary. I mean, that whatever that number is, I mean, we're gonna have to take care of that. Grant has his bill in court services. I talked to him today. He doesn't think he'll need the 19. He'll need probably 12 to 15,000. So I'm thinking we need to be thinking 15. That's a bill that, I mean, those have to be paid in this fiscal year. So the more we can try to keep in the reserve account to be able to cover those things that can't be pushed forward. Those last 2 weeks of medical claims, we can push those. There's other stuff that we just can't push.
And CVS is giving us a little leeway because usually it's a 10-day
Yeah.
period, so they've been letting us go 15 days, 20 days on their invoices, so
Right.
that's good.
But if we put the 1.5 million in there now, there's no pulling it back. Once it goes in, it's in there, which it sets you up going forward, and that's fine. But if we allocate too much right now, then while it would be beneficial in the future, it may really hamstring us for the rest of the fiscal year.
Yeah,
Because we can't pull it back if we don't need it.
Exactly. So that 660 number would take care of everything we're holding, from my understanding. But then we still have 3 weeks in May, plus prescription invoice starting. 3 weeks left in April, plus prescription invoice. They'll be due May 1st.
Do you have a better estimate of what the final number would be by come June 30?
I don't.
Not
It's just
one.
guesstimation.
Just one.
Totally guesstimation.
I figured so, but
Yeah.
the
So
only,
there's just 2 registers left, the 20 and 27.
yeah,
in
so the
April,
only
not
thing
3.
is we only talk about the big items, but there are, and that's what happened last week, there are smaller items that have to be paid as well, which throws up a little bit.
But what I'm hearing today, you need more than just the 660. You need the 317 plus the 660.
No,
Okay. So 660 will do it.
Get us caught up.
which is
It's
very
not,
tight,
It's not both.
maybe 7.
But the 660, I think you had said on Monday, after the claims are approved, there'll be about $80,000 left in there. The 660 is the exact amount of the bills that we know that we have
two big
for those
ones.
2. Yeah. So that leaves about 80,000 in that account to cover some of the other smaller things.
And so there's like other deals like the physician, whatever, it's
Physicians
like
need some
99,000
retirement
even.
supplement,
So there's other smaller items
Yeah,
in
like
there.
our Health Smart invoice is about $190 every month. That'll be due kind of, next month. Retiree Medicare supplement's about $99,000 a month. That'll be due. Those 2 things we have to pay every month, but claims we can push forward somewhat.
So let me ask you a question, and maybe I misunderstood. When we got in here we thought all of March was covered, but you said no, the March from 3/16 and 3/30 wasn't covered. And you're short 3/17 to cover that. Then we talked about these two registers, added them together, and there's 660.
So there's a confusion with the information that John brings. He puts it by when it was coming in as a bill or something. We record them per BOCC meeting, right, the medical claim. So I go by those days, right? Or we go by those. So your office provides those memorandums with the total amount per BOCC meeting, right? So we should pay them by that meeting. So we're behind on Monday, on the 17th. We're going to have two claims that have not been paid yet that should be paid by the 17th.
What are those two?
Those are the
That's the
the
660.
the 387, 685
Okay.
from the 3rd, and the 273 from the 17th.
But the ones from March,
They're like April BOCC meetings, so if we're talking the same thing, it's just different language. We have paid everything on Monday except those two.
And one was received last Thursday and one was from the prior month received.
I thought at the beginning when I started talking to you, I said, what happened? And something wasn't covered, and that these two up here, so these are paid?
Christie, I think some of that 317 that was maybe in this 660 number when they were doing their math.
Yeah, this is what I was doing last week, so this has been paid now.
Oh,
And
I
so-
thought you just told me when I got in here, that wasn't paid and that
That's what,
wasn't
from my
paid.
understanding. I got this information last week, so that I was just going off what I was given. So
Then I
there's,
misunderstood.
there's that one, and then there's one we received last week, Thursday, those two.
So in a perfect world, if we weren't having any issues, on our April 17th meeting, we would not just be paying the claims that we're going to be paying on April 17th. We would also be paying these 660
This is your shit.
number. We're short, so if we transfer this 660, have that on budget board, then that
So you're
next
saying this is
BOCC meeting, we can pay those, and then everything that we would normally be paying on April 17th would be paid for at that point, and then we would have more that
Those are the two.
is part of the normal when we pay on May the 1st. But we have the 1.5 million to cover those
Well,
on May the 1st.
And there you're gonna run into an issue too. May 1st is the BOCC meeting, right?
Right,
And we appropriate money May 1st, so the claims so you cannot process the claims on the same day we appropriate the money.
right, okay, but we can have a
But we have
special
the money.
BOCC a
Yeah.
few days later.
The next week.
Well, AP needs probably a day or so for the meeting, yeah.
Okay. I see. I always thought there was this one for March,
Yeah, me too.
then this one for the 6th and the 13th.
Yes, we haven't received this one yet. That was just estimated.
Okay.
We haven't received that one either, and that's just estimated.
Gotcha. Thank you. Sorry.
No, it's,
Alright, so I'm looking at that one and that one.
And this is only talking about the medical and the prescription claims, so I don't know,
I'll just throw out there that we should
how about 750?
consider when we're doing our budget going ahead and putting more in employee benefits next year, like we had the previous year, and we put less to start out this year.
Yes, we started 1.2
Right.
million less,
So
and then
if we start at a higher amount, it reduces the chances that we're having to have these types of conversations.
And just as a reminder, yeah, we started 1.2 million less in the fund. We're 3-something million over where we were last fiscal year. And then just for the retiree costs by the actuary report, we're supposed to transfer 4.5 just to cover their costs alone every year.
But by now we have done that almost, or more.
Almost, yeah. But there's years that go up and down. That's what self-funding is. And the thing is, if we weren't self-funded, this 25% that we're over, next year we pay 20% on top of that. The next year 20. So we're really lucky in terms of it can fluctuate in and down, but we have to have some reserves just in case.
Well, and
years
it's
like
not
this.
just the 20%, it's 20% plus a buffer, plus an extra amount since we rolled it from July until, January when we start the employees. So there's like a buffer on top of a buffer on top of 20%, right? So it's just,
I expect medical to kind of trend down a little bit There is one big claim we're working on. Hopefully Stop Loss will advance fund that, but that's a different topic until I get more information on it. So, and we're again working on a solution for prescriptions. Hopefully for the next fiscal year for retirees that drastically going to reduce our costs drastically. So we get the same exact benefit and pay way less. The government funds the rest.
So are you comfortable if we had a recommendation to budget board for $661,000 instead of 1.5?
I mean, just to get us all the claims out the door and kind of see how claims come in. I know there's limited money in reserves anyways. There's other needs. So hopefully we can kind of push them forward if we have to, but I'll come back and let everyone know where we're at once we get those claims in.
Does anybody have anything?
John, the prescription claims come in at what, 580, 592 a month, right?
Correct.
So that's alone 1.1
15th and
million.
the 30th.
Yeah, but so that's 1.1 million, and then the medical claims is about what, 300, and
Well,
we get
we're averaging
for-
373. Now it's gone down to 273. So we'll get one. I think there's 3 weeks left after this. We have this Thursday, the next Thursday, and the next Thursday before the end of the month. So we'll have 3 more check registers, medical check registers come in.
Would it be possible to do, since and I'm just talking the next couple months, as we get really close, have an additional document? This was helpful until we had our little thing about something was already encumbered, but almost like a cash flow and use the register dates. Because I know we don't pay them till BOCC dates. We're all aware of BOCC dates. But I think it's more helpful for us to know when we got the invoice. You know, it's a whole register.
it.
I really want to.
I agree.
So I'm literally like from today. I mean, and I can even help do it if you want, because I do it when I have to watch the cash flow and I have to budget out what I think. I mean, it's all estimating. It's just when I try to estimate how much cash we need. I feel like we're in that same thing, but it's by date. This register comes in and it's a color if it's an estimate, black if it's regular. And then you can have a note off to the side that it's when it's going to be paid, and you got money coming in and money coming out, and it's by date.
For sure. Yeah,
and
then
you
I
just
can
kind of
provide
keep a
you.
balance. or
Yeah,
something.
I can provide you the amounts and Micah too of the normal things we get every month.
I'm
So
thinking
we
it's
put
just going to
those.
be helpful. I'm just talking the next 60 days.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because if
We're
we
just
get,
tight.
if we get something in, if the invoice comes in on, say, April the 3rd, but it's regularly scheduled to be on the April 17th, if we're on April 17th, we look and say, well, that came in on the 17th, so we can push that 2 weeks. But it's already been pushed 2 weeks because it came in earlier. So now if we push it 2 weeks, it's actually pushing it a full month from when we receive the invoice. So I agree with Christy. I do. I understand why you guys in the clerk's office use the meeting dates. That's important for you guys. I understand why you're using the invoice dates. And I think for us knowing both, I think that is important information.
Left side would be the date the registers came in, or we received the invoices. Clearly, there can be a column for when we anticipate paying them. Just kind of. That would.
Well, and you said just through the end of the fiscal
Yeah,
year,
just-
but it may be something that is helpful to have going forward.
Yeah,
as
it'll be
well.
You know, this kind of detail until we get.
Mhm.
I wouldn't need to see that every
Yeah.
time. I mean, his normal thing as we're watching it, but as we get close, I think it's really important. I misspoke not only to my boss, but I misspoke to 2 other elected officials and said we had everything covered with the 500,000 through March.
Well, I
So I'm
did as
gonna have
well.
to backtrack to
And
that.
I did too.
I did as well.
So,
I didn't know until I walked into budget board and John pulled me aside. And I mean, there was email traffic about that. I was so busy in other stuff. He pulled me aside and explained it. That's how I knew how to answer the questions, because he had mentioned it right there in the meeting. But yeah, I think everybody in here, we're all thinking the same thing, not knowing that something was encumbered.
Yeah.
and then we just watch for those.
Yep, I think going forward, when we look at the numbers, we just need to, John, make sure that you know, however much is in there, get with Kelly and see if there's any, if that's all available or if any of it is spoken for via an encumbrance.
Do we want to entertain, and I can make a motion about 665? John, you think that'll,
With everything
Get
up
these
for
last
her,
these
yeah,
two
that
that
we're
we
holding
have.
right now.
Well, okay, so we'll have that 70,000-80,000 left after Monday. You say that we're talking about the big numbers, but they're small numbers, but some of those numbers that you mentioned aren't really small numbers, 99,000 and 190,000. Those are kind of large. Do we have any of those that are now, or all of those gonna be in May?
Those are all been paid for this month, so we prioritize those. The Health Smart One and Physicians Mutual, those have to be paid just right away. So those are usually paid right out of the first things.
Okay,
And then claims and YMCA and things like that come out after those.
okay. So we'll just, if we do the 665, we all need to just
that
let-
covers what we have received.
Right, and we'll just let our elected officials know that we think right now that may be able to get us through the end of the year and we can push, but we're still working off of estimates and that could change and we may need to transfer more money. So that also leads to, we've got to be careful with the stuff that's on the watch list right now because we can't come up short here either. Just like some of the items that are on the watch list we got to take care of, we got to take care of whatever this is. I mean, we can push a couple weeks, but not, 4 or 5 weeks. Because we don't want our prescription service to be cut off.
No, that would be good.
And some of the rates that we've got negotiated, we're paying lower if we get that stuff pulled because of untimely pay, so.
Well, I'll make a motion to transfer $665,000 out of general fund reserve to employees' benefits to cover the medical claims that we currently have in our holding.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Micah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, item 3, discussion and possible action regarding any items currently on the watch list. Has anybody heard from anybody regarding anything that can be removed, needs to be removed, or is absolute gonna have to happen?
I think we can remove that 100,000 for economic development, can't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we already passed the contract for this year at the
Right.
standard 200,000. So yeah, is there a motion to remove
Is that
that?
not what was just added to 54?
That's for next fiscal year. This
It
was
gets
for,
confusing because we were doing two
It sure makes you
budgets.
wanna think
Yeah.
about that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sure makes me wanna think about it when I vote.
Yeah.
yeah, when we did this last year, we heard rumblings that they were gonna wanna come back and modify the contract to increase it by $100,000. So we put this in here in case they did come back and request the 100,000
But
additional.
instead, we just agreed on our own to do the 50, or?
No,
It
no,
was 200. The
no.
base was 200,000.
No, I know, but today we did the 250.
Right, but that's for next fiscal year.
Next.
Right.
So when we did this fiscal year contract, it was for $200,000. We thought, we had heard that they were gonna ask for an additional 100,000 during this fiscal year.
Mhm.
So we put the $100,000 there in case they did come back and request 100,000 more this year, and BOCC wanted to sign that
And
contract,
when
then we
I
can
follow.
transfer it. Now with this.
And now we've agreed to do 250 for next
For
year.
next year,
Right.
yeah. So that's $50,000 on top
They
of
agreed with
what
those.
we've done before.
There, you started the discussion today.
BOCC has
So,
not
okay,
agreed.
so in this group, we voted not, right? We
Right now,
voted-
it's at 200.
Right now,
Everybody's
it's
the
And
flat
then- so this
number,
morning in
200.
P&G, when we voted for the 250, I said, is this the 50 that we did in BET? And I thought the answer was yes.
For
it was what
next-
we were talking about.
Yeah,
with
for
BET,
next budget
yes.
year.
Yeah, I totally get that it's all for the next year.
Yeah.
It's just that all of this informs my thinking on what we'll spend next year. I find it significant. That's my
Yeah.
point. I totally get that it's for
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah, what we were talking about this morning was the other day when we were discussing the 250 versus the 200.
Mhm.
for next fiscal year, and that's what you guys were talking about this morning.
Right, so I,
Yeah, it's the
yes,
same
I
amount.
very much understand that it's for next year. It's just that I felt like, correct me if I'm wrong, everything we did in those special meetings was for next year. Right?
Yes.
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 Right, so we're all talking about
Yeah, but the
next year.
watch list right here, the reason why we're mentioning is because the watch list is not for
We
next
can
year,
take it off because we don't need it right now.
for this year.
Yeah, you guys are
Okay.
just getting caught up in my mind of what I'm doing on the other side. It's
Okay.
helpful to know that,
Yeah.
but I'm aware that the 250 is for next year. I just think it's interesting. That's a helpful background for me. So we were thinking it might be 100 more to
Right.
get to 300
Right.
as a total cost. So
Right.
now we're just doing 250
Yes.
It's
instead of
flat two
200.
projection
Right.
coming up with the 50 additional.
It's interesting.
And what had come up in policy and governance, and I was gonna give with you, Christy, but since we're in here discussing it, I'll mention it. You know, in the past, we had paid for the full $200,000 out of bond funds and some different stuff, and we dwindled that, so we didn't have it.
For sure.
Is there, are there any other bond funds that are available that we could use for the additional 50,000?
So that's what we were asking. That's why it's
No,
not front and center on my mind. Is how are we paying for it, and it's coming from general funds. Right?
We've paid for it out of general fund economic development for several years.
The last 2 or 3
What you're
years,
thinking
yeah.
of is when we had, the BNSF bonds. And we did the scrap metal
Right,
out, and that scrap metal didn't have any contingency on it. It was just money we got back from selling the scrap metal,
right.
you know, and it was a separate line item, and that's where we were able to pay that from for several years. Plus Tinker was so involved with that bond issue. The other bond issue that's out there is Tinker Clearing, and that one's a lot more restrictive because of the ballot title, and it talks about that money can only be used for a project for Tinker.
Right.
So I don't know if that's been asked. Clearly, this economic development is Tinker work, but I'm sure.
Yeah.
And broader, this one we just did is more than just Tinker.
I think the Tinker Clearing bond issue is more restrictive.
Okay.
Yeah, this was just scrap metal. It's
Yeah.
almost like
And
we sold some property and we got to have all that scrap metal, and we sold it and got money for it. So it just didn't have any restrictions.
right, and all of that money is 100% gone.
That scrap metal money is gone.
Okay.
Yes.
Regardless, though, it's a good point about the 100,000 can come off the
Yeah.
watch list.
Okay, so did we talked about it, did we vote to remove that? Do we have a
There was
motion?
a motion. I don't know if there was a
Okay.
second.
There's a motion and a second to take the $100,000 off the watch list.
I'll make the motion to
Okay,
take the 100,000 off the watch
I'll
list.
second.
okay, we got
For
a motion and a
economic
second.
development.
I thought you already had.
Maybe I did it in my mind.
I heard
It's
it.
just one
You
of
know
those
what? I can
things.
hear your mind then, because I thought you already
I think you did.
Yeah.
Get out of my head.
did. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Didn't Christy, while she was here, mention the social services, the annual leave payout, that she didn't need that as well?
Or was she gonna check on it? I had a little check mark on the ones that we had to follow up with. What did she say?
Would be in the minutes.
The resignation date had been extended.
It had been
Yes.
extended, yeah. But
Well, if it's through the end of the year, then yeah.
I think that's what she said, but if there's questions, then we should probably leave it.
Grant had mentioned probably about 15,000. Do we want to change that on the watch list to the 15,000 or just leave it at the 19?
We're making changes. I say we do it.
Okay, is there a motion to change court services GPS lost damage to 15,000?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
You could pull the emergency road. Since I've asked for it next year.
Is there a motion to remove the emergency road from the watch list?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
My update's going to reduce my salary costs a little bit, if that'll help you or if you're ready for it.
What number is that? We may have to wait till we get there.
It's not on the agenda, I was just gonna update it to your watch list item.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
That's
well,
what we're on.
yeah, let's go ahead and get that update then.
I It's no change to the handout that I gave you, last week, but, right now for salaries, I have 325 on there. Right now, I'm only tracking to be 300. So, that reduces it by 25,000. It's also all in detention. So right now, this is split between detention and bureau. That whole 300,000 will be in detention salaries.
Okay, so, let's go ahead and get a motion then to remove juvenile bureau salaries of 75,000.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, and then what you're saying is, what we have on here for detention salaries is 250, so increase that to 300.
Please.
Okay. Is there a motion to increase that watch list item to 300,000?
So
Second.
Got a motion to second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
On my M&O item, I'm still tracking to be right at 100,000. I would be remiss after John's balmy forecast for the rest of the year, not to start questioning myself what happens if I don't get that funding. I don't know what that answer is. I know in salaries, I can't make it through June payroll, so I'll have to need an influx in May to get through June. Right now, I don't have a June class slated, but I'll need to know 6 weeks prior. That way, if we don't spend county dollars on salary, on getting them onboarded, that's just more money that we'd be expending if we're not gonna be able to have a June class. That's really the only thing I can think of that I could put a halt on, as far as salaries go. What I do have small options of doing if I wasn't going to get funded at all, I would have to start not merging, but moving money between my budgets. I would have to be able to move from bureau fringe to detention M&O if I had to and I know right now we try our very hardest to not ever merge those, and especially with us considering in GT, I know that will throw a huge wrench in things, but that's the only thing that I could think of should I not get funded that I would at least have some options for. Again, the only thing I can think of is that I'll just put a stop halt on any ordering, and we just go absolute bare minimum, which the physical plant may suffer for that. It means we're not doing repairs. It means we're just barely maintaining. But I'd have to look at that and see how much I could shave off of that. We paid so much in just utilities already. I'd have to forecast out what only we would need for utilities and then back it up from there until everyone, even their blankets, are paused to see what I'd have to open back up. So I'd be remiss not to start thinking about that if we're in such a dire need with prescriptions that I would just guarantee you guys could fund my watch list items.
Are you still pretty much fully staffed?
Well, it sounds to me like we shouldn't make a change on the M&O yet.
Right.
I mean, I don't wanna this early tell you,
Okay.
no, go into panic mode and
Okay.
stop, cause problem is if we don't make,
Sure.
if we don't make
Yeah.
repairs, then,
Right.
$10,000 repairs become into $200,000 replacements pretty quick. So, yeah, that's an example of an item that we need to keep on here, I think.
And so that today's vote pushes our reserve down to just under 700?
Yeah.
And I'm asking for 4 of that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I've been told, and I think Mike has been told, I'm still not comfortable. I hope it's the case, I guess is what I'll say, that all of the general government and the facility management items are not gonna be needed,
That's what I've been told,
is what we've been told.
but it's still
It's,
early.
I think everyone with something on the watch list needs to either be here on our next
Yeah.
regular meeting or if we call special, or at least be ready to speak up.
Micah, can your
And if they
office,
still want it on there, maybe we just highlight the ones, cause some people are so adamant about, I want it on, I asked for it that way, you didn't get it.
get with me and either you or I can send an email to all the departments that are listed on here. And you know what, I think even beyond this, will include all departments, all elected official offices. So what I would like is the email to come from not you, but somebody in your office that's not in BET. That way we don't have a quorum issue, and we'll send it out individually, not, because I don't want people accidentally replying all and violating anything. So just individually send out, hey, you've got an item on the watch list, give us an update. Are you gonna need this? Are you not gonna need it? Triple, quadruple check it. If you're a department that doesn't have anything on the watch list, let us know now if there is something that you see on the horizon, because we are running out of general fund reserve dollars pretty quick. And if you need something on there, we need to know ASAP. Does that sound good? Do something like that.
As long as it has the right tone, if it's not emails like, who needs anything?
Yeah, no.
But you're right, you said it right.
Yeah, it's
We'll
not.
use Cody's language
Yeah.
instead of mine.
I don't want
This
it to
isn't a
be-
handout.
Yeah, I don't want this to be like, hey, you need something, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and we need a response, especially on the ones that are currently on the watch list. We need to know before that next meeting, or they need to.
We got some tough stuff for May. So.
Where did the grant match come from? What department?
That was Nikki.
Yeah, that was a BOCC item.
But I don't,
At this personally, I think we can take it off the list because we don't have the $2 million in there to match. So.
Is that a
And
motion?
it can, I don't,
Chair doesn't make
chair doesn't make
I
motions.
know.
Well, that's not true. But
let's just do this, call it this.
But I do think that it would be appropriate to take it off the list at this time.
You do.
I mean, it was a $2 million, and we don't have the 2 million.
So
So
service less than 2 million.
Randy, what do you think?
I mean, you're right at this point. It's not like we're gonna be able to do that, so.
There's so many other things. I mean, this is something that we could always bring back at the beginning of next fiscal year.
Absolutely.
But Dawn,
I mean,
is
I
your
wonder
office?
what
Yeah,
timing
no, I
was.
don't know exactly what it is, but my gut is that probably she's got an application or something that would require some type of match, and even,
That is what it
and
is.
so even if we were to domino, it's not gonna need a match in the next 6 weeks or
Right.
something, so it seems to me the timing of it is fine.
Seems like when they voted on this, she was on a tight window to apply.
She was.
She
And
did
I-
apply or didn't?
We can reach out.
Because I knew it was like something quick, like I'm
Yeah.
on a deadline.
And I
almost for the
think
next
that
week.
we got notification that it probably wasn't going to come to fruition, but I don't ever recall seeing anything final
Definitely. Yeah.
about that. But like you said, I mean, we're so late in the fiscal year, we don't have the $2 million here. Even if we had 2,000,000, even if we had exactly 2 million, I'm sorry,
Right.
we've got other priorities that
Right.
are going to have to be met. So this is something that even if we found out, oh, we're awarded now, we're going to need to find the $2 million somewhere
Somewhere
else and not in reserve.
Right,
So-
so it makes sense timing wise, and to give a better view of where we really are.
All right, is there a motion to remove the $2 million from the watch list?
Motion, second.
Got a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So if the BOCC is upset that that's removed, the record will state that Mr. Morrison.
Based upon our chairman.
With
And the coercion from our leader.
only because that chair won't make the motion
That's right.
himself.
All right, are there any other?
Have we ever entered a new fiscal year with zero in the reserve?
Fiscal year 14-15, we were at a shortage in June, negative. And BET spent a lot of time doing a master list of what we do when we get in this position, which I pulled. Of course, that was that long ago. There's other options now, but we were, and it all had to do with Sheriff Medical and the Armor, that was that year. We were short. But since then, we've lapsed tons. We've lapsed at least $1.7 million up to $8 million every year since then. So we're in a tight, we haven't been here in a while.
2.3 or 2.7.
We were at a shortage of 358,527.78 on May 18th of 2015. 527.78 on May 18th of 2015.
And the jail medical?
It was sheriff cover partial, DOC loss in revenue to pay inmate medical of 705,000, and sheriff fiscal year 14-15 inmate medical increase 179,000.
I remember those days.
I didn't like them. I don't like them now.
Okay.
Okay. Before we leave this item, can I ask one question?
Mhm.
On employees' benefits, we're gonna recommend the 665, which we voted on. On the amount left in the column, I was just gonna subtract 665 and leave the difference, unless there's another amount we want to show on there. See what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna subtract 665 off the million, but. Maybe do that for now. I know we're trying to say we're gonna make it through, but wouldn't need any, but I didn't know.
So leave 335 on there for employee benefits.
Everyone okay with that? That's kind of what we normally do if we do that.
Yeah.
We still need, unless it's something that we're fulfilling.
Yeah, and I think most of the rest of this, I mean, we said we'll wait on social services on the annual leave payout to verify on that. But social services utilities, that's paid for out of general government now. So that would be an item that we've been told is gonna be okay. Self-insurance, outside legal for county, that 300,000, that's out of general government. So
We probably just need,
the general government vicinity, the CJA one, CJA, they said the other day, they get that 1.1. I mean, their estimate of needs showed that they're gonna lapse 79,000 and change, right?
Right.
So, in facilities, so, and I do need to talk to Grant. I didn't ask him about the other court services, that 68,000
I think
number.
those were just extra things he wanted.
Yeah, and I think those can
wasn't-
go away because when I asked him, he said, hey, trying to do it to where I don't need anything, but I don't think I'm gonna need the 19, but I'm gonna need somewhere between 12 and 15 for the indigent, so. But we'll follow up with him. I think that it's looking up. All right, any other discussion on the watch list? All right, seeing none. Item 5, discussion possible action regarding departments FY 23-24 estimated needs. We don't need anything on that. Item 6, FY 23-24 estimated needs for employee benefits, workers' comp, and self-insurance funds. Do we have that yet?
That's okay.
Okay.
But, yeah, the other item on this agenda, we don't have yet, so we can.
Yeah, I talked to Micah. There's an item on here, and we'll get to it in just a minute. Okay, we'll wait on this. Do we have the estimate needs for general government and commissioners? It's attached.
Yes.
Did everybody have a chance to take a look at it? Is there any questions?
The only thing that updated on that was vicinity or utilities, it went up to 950,000
From what?
from 850. That was Keith.
Okay.
And then on the commissioners, did we have the BOCC administrator position put on that one then?
Yes,
Yes.
it's added there.
Including some M&O. Because that fund only has salaries and benefits.
Yeah, I think it was like
Mm-hmm.
a little over $3,000 for phone, parking, and
I don't see her on there though.
she's. Which one are you looking on? Are you on
Oh,
general
I see
government?
her. I see her. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, commissioners. She's.
All right, is there a motion to receive those updated estimate of needs?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Item 8, discussion possible action regarding FY 23-24 estimate of needs for planning commission that's there updated.
That was just because the pages were missing on the PDF, so this is just,
Motion to receive updated version.
Got a motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item 9, discussion possible action regarding updated 23-24 estimate of needs for county sheriff.
It doesn't change the presentation at all, it was just a formula that didn't pull over.
Yeah.
So it was just that I actually caught it while I was in the middle of doing it, so.
Motion to receive update.
Second.
Got a motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's have it. Item 10, discussion possible action regarding an update, the updated 23-24 estimate of needs for capital improvement regular,
Yeah, so they added 500,000 for,
the 11th floor
Yeah.
fire.
correct, so that's an update.
Do we have a motion to receive?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion second, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Item 11, discussion possible action regarding updated 23-24 estimate of needs for District 1. I think that was just that one formula.
It's not $4 anymore.
Yeah.
Motion to receive update.
Second.
We got a motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Item 12, discussion possible action regarding updated 23-24 estimate of needs for District 2.
That was just removing that BOCC administrator position from District 2 since it went on, commissioners.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Item 13, are there any follow-up questions related to any of the 23-24 estimate of needs that have already been presented? Seeing none. Discussion possible action regarding policies, processes, and procedures related to 23-24 budget reviews, recommendations, anything on that? No action. 15, discussion possible action regarding a recommendation to budget board from BET regarding 23-24 estimate of needs.
Not maybe there yet.
No action. This was the other item that we mentioned a second ago. Discussion possible action regarding general fund revenue projections for fiscal year 23-24. So I talked to Micah. She got the numbers yesterday morning. She's working on them. What I told her so that we make sure that we dot all of our T's, cross all of our I's, have plenty of time. They had so much going on in the clerk's office yesterday. What my suggestion was to give them just a little bit more time is to recess this meeting instead of adjourn. Give her a little bit of time to get that done. And then that would also give us time to get the other estimate of needs from that other item presented, and we can receive that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
How long?
Recess to what?
Can you do that on a recess? Can you upload documents?
Well, we'll just receive them. We'll
Okay.
receive hard copies.
Okay.
You won't be able to change
Okay.
and link it on there.
Can we do Tuesday?
The 18th?
Because budget board is the 20th.
Okay, well, let's do this then. If we're gonna do it for Tuesday, next week, I'll look at my schedule, see if that works. But if we're not gonna come back tomorrow or the next day,
Right.
then let's adjourn.
Yes.
Because if we call a special meeting, then if there's other agenda items that we need to add, we could do that.
Thursday's a holiday, so.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I think Tuesday worked for me.
That's for me as well.
What time Tuesday?
Tax day, that's so appropriate.
I saw that.
One? Afternoon, morning?
Is there a conflict with meeting in the morning, say 10 a.m.?
I have a meeting at 10,
I do,
But-
but I could miss it.
but I could do 9 or I could do 11.
I could do 9 or 11.
We'll do 9.
Yeah, let's do mine.
Sounds like we're just gonna receive some stuff.
Mike, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, send out an invite or whatever.
Well,
we have to schedule.
we were just kind of having a little bit of discussion there. That's not on the agenda, but we'll send in. He would send an email out and we'll talk about that. So, because that information related to whether we were going to recess or adjourn, to determine that. So, all right. Is there any citizens that wish to participate? Seeing none. Board comments. District 2.
No, thank you.
District 3.
No.
Clerk. Treasurer.
No, thank you.
Court clerk. Assessor. Sheriff.
Only I was gonna say, I don't want to use the name for anonymity, but, District 2 was not able to come in on time today. District 3 was adamant about sitting in District 2 seat. And we were, the board was forceful that she move.
I was
that did happen.
literally from the chair. I mean, it was forceful.
I can't even look over there.
I mean, got ugly. I mean,
You wouldn't believe how ugly.
I
The
think,
gloves came off.
I think it may have been an assault and battery.
Wow.
I just wanted to know we had.
We had
Thank
an-
you so much.
We had an A and B in BOE.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you.
At
BET.
Yeah, BET, we had an
Yeah.
A and B in the
Gone.
BOE. Okay,
You send down the hall.
if you guys would, the items that we talked about today, if you could just make sure they get on to the budget board meeting next week, I'd appreciate that. Thanks everybody for your time, and
Motion
is there any
to
new,
adjourn.
is there any new business?
Second.
Seeing none, we got a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.